The 1960s saw an explosion of pop art. Andy Warhol's Campbell's soup cans were everywhere. Roy Lichtenstein's paintings were inspired by popular comic books. And in 1962, Ed Ruscha's tribute to Spam, a canned meat product titled Actual Size, and in 1966, his Standard Station both became pop art sensations. Ed's career started in 1956 when he drove to Los Angeles from Oklahoma. Southern California quickly became his muse. To celebrate our globally revered local legend, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art is putting on quite a show of his works. Over 250 pieces of Ed Ruscha's art takes over an entire floor of LACMA.
It's a little like being on a roller coaster in reverse, with a big retro swoosh.
I recently had a wonderful conversation with this renowned artist and personal friend in his impressive studio.
So it kind of knocks the legs out from under me, but wow. It's good to see it anyway.
Yeah.
I was really happy the way it's hanging together.
And so was that a process you were involved in as?
Oh yeah. And I watched it the whole way. And it's a little different than the show in New York, yes. Not much different, but some additions, a few subtractions, and it came together.
It came together is an understatement about LACMA's monumental task of exhibiting this astounding 7-decade body of work.
They're scattered all over the globe, but I did them all right here in LA, and so that's why I feel particularly good that I'm able to show these works in LA.
Of course, Los Angeles and you are synonymous with sort of capturing all these decades and layers of time in Los Angeles. Do you ever look at a painting and go, I did that 30 years ago? Does it evoke an emotion of where you were then?
Well, I feel like I could make my work almost anywhere, but being here in the city kind of centers my priorities, and so I end up staying here, and I love the place and I hate the place, and then I love it again, and so it's quite something for me.
And it's quite something for the many thousands of art lovers who continue to visit LACMA's Ed Ruscha Now Then and soak in all the memorable work. This exhibit at LACMA is probably one of the most impressive exhibits in Los Angeles history. In fact, maybe even in the world. On the walls, an astounding over 250 original pieces by Ed Ruscha. Rebecca Morse is a curator at LACMA, and she showed me many of the highlights of Ed Ruscha Now Then. One of the interesting things about Ed is that he's painted things that are still here and some that aren't still here. Thankfully, Norms is still here. What have you learned about Norms on Fire?
Well, I've learned that in these days, Ed Ruscha was really interested in painting fire. So thinking about kind of what the flames could look like on a canvas. Also really interested in activity on the left-hand side of the work. And you see that in the standard paintings where the keel lights are in the side, on the upper left. And so too here is where that kind of attention is.
In keeping with the fire theme, Ed painted the Los Angeles County Museum of Art on fire in 1965. It was his small protest about not liking museums at the time. Also that year, Ed decided to photograph buildings in Los Angeles. His work was published in 1966 in a book that unfolds accordion style to nearly 25 feet, titled Every Building on the Sunset Strip.
Well, I came out here in 1956, and as I was leaving the desert and coming to this new city of Los Angeles, bang ahead of me was some glorious purple sunset, and I was awestruck. And then when I got here, I realized, boy, I mean, not only do I get a sunset, but they've got a street here called Sunset Boulevard. And so I just let that be my spinal cord to this city. So I guess photographing it was my way of memorizing this place.
It's really depressing because I live right off Sunset Strip to see how little preservation, and that's why your book means so much, your photographs mean so much to me. I use them in city council meetings. I really do. I come in and I make presentations to show them they want to take down an entire stretch from Larrabee to San Vicente.
Well, you do very well because you've been so observant of everything, and you're a historian, so I know that you are sensitive to any change that happens.
Change in Los Angeles is what Ed Ruscha has been capturing over his 70 years of work. From his first painting titled SU, to his later works featuring word subjects, to intriguing art pieces featuring gunpowder, blood, chocolate, and even...
This one is made out of caviar along the bottom, and then Pepto-Bismol along the top.
But no matter the medium or the materials, collectors around the world clamor for an original Ed Ruscha masterpiece. This painting, titled Hurting the World Radio No. 2, sold for a record $52.5 million in 2019.
I'm usually the last person to hang my own work out on walls because I usually go into a room, might pick the best room, and then I pick the best wall, and then I pick the best work for that wall, and then everything else falls apart. So that's why curators are so good. They have a vision, and they have ways of putting things together that I don't share. I mean, I'm lost in that world.
Is there a feeling that you would like people to leave with when they leave the exhibit or while they're there?
Well, I guess I can't deny it's a life's work, and you know, I feel like it's almost like bolts in a blender or something like that. Like some big gumbo of everything that goes on in my life over these decades, and so it just has to fall in place somehow, and I guess it does.